Alright people, buckle up because today we're diving headfirst into the wild, messy, and absolutely brilliant world of 2B Hero X. Now, I know what you're thinking. Every fan has their own ranking of these heroes, but I'm not here to sugarcoat it. Some of these characters have arcs so good they'll punch you straight in the chest with feels, while others, well, let's just say they kinda dropped the ball harder than Ahu did at the circus. This list isn't about power scaling or fancy tier charts or who looks the coolest swinging a sword. Nope, this is about whose character arcs actually delivered, from the heroes that made me cheer to the ones that made me roll my eyes. And trust me, there are some hot takes ahead. We've got underrated dogs, stylish assassins, unlucky gamblers, and of course, the big name heroes who either lived up to the hype or didn't. So if you're ready to argue, agree, or just sit back and relive the chaos, let's kick things off at the very bottom of my ranking. And yes, we're starting with Ahu, the ex-circus dog turned hero who proves even pets can get a spot on the roster. Ahu's introduction into 2B Hero X was one of the more surprising turns in the series. On paper, he's an ex-circus dog who suddenly gains human speech and eventually becomes a ranked hero. That alone makes him feel gimmicky at first, a literal animal stepping into a world dominated by human ambition, corruption, and politics. For me, his story felt a little rushed, especially compared to other heroes like Nice, whose arcs were given more breathing room. Don't get me wrong, Ahu's backstory of being rescued from an abusive circus and his transformation into a detective protecting his owner Shinya has emotional weight, but when placed against the larger cast, his arc doesn't hit as hard. That's why he sits low in my personal ranking, around 12th. That being said, episode 23, Lie, really does justice to his character. It's where we finally see Ahu fleshed out beyond the grumpy, cynical exterior. Shinya's trust in him unlocks his hero ability, the Lick of Life, and watching him use it to save her is a strong emotional payoff. The episode's unique animation style, blending traditional 2D paper cutout visuals and pixel art, sets it apart from the rest of the series, giving Ahu a distinct spotlight. Critics and fans alike praised this tonal shift, calling the episode sweet, wholesome, and even one of the best single character arcs in the series despite only being one episode long. Some fans even put Ahu in their top 5 heroes because of how heartfelt his growth felt. Still, the community remains divided on Ahu. Some viewers think he's one of the most charming and relatable heroes, pointing out how his bond with Shinya embodies the core message of 2B Hero X, that trust creates heroes. Others, however, find his design and premise too gimmicky, with online debates swinging between calling him underrated and dismissing him entirely. Personally, I sit somewhere in the middle. I respect the message his arc conveys, and I understand why fans became attached to him. But for me, Ahu's development felt too sudden, especially given how late he was introduced and how quickly the show tied his arc back to Hero X. Compared to the slower, more layered arcs of other characters, Ahu just feels rushed. His episode was powerful, no doubt, but when I rank him against the rest of the cast, Ahu doesn't climb very high. And listen, this is just my take. If you've got Ahu as your number 1, hey, more power to ya. But for me, he's chilling right here at the bottom of the list, wagging his tail and side-eyeing me for putting him last. Sorry, boy, no treats this time. Coming in at number 11 is Firm Man, and honestly, this guy feels like he was written just to get kicked off the top 10. Don't get me wrong, his rise to hero status was nothing short of epic. The man literally held up a collapsing, burning building just to save a little girl. That single moment was so powerful, it immortalized him as a walking statue of strength. But here's the catch, that same public trust became his damn prison. The immovability that made him a legend also cursed him to never bend, never kneel, hell, never even lie down. Imagine that. The guy can't even nap properly. What started out as an inspiring act of sacrifice ended up chaining him to a life of constant pain, with those heavy metal braces on his legs as a permanent reminder. To me, that says everything about how public perception can slowly destroy a hero from the inside out. It's tragic, yeah, but compared to the depth and nuance we get with other characters, Firm Man's arc feels more like a stepping stone in the bigger story, which is exactly why he lands in my 11th spot. Episode 3, The Ever-Standing Hero, is where Firm Man's story actually comes full circle. Facing off against Wolf Girl, yep, the same child he once saved, he's finally forced to face the truth about his so-called strength. And her plan? Whew, extreme as hell, but it works. It shows just how much his so-called power has been his curse all along. The moment he finally chooses compassion, dropping the statue and freeing her at the cost of his own heroic image, is both heartbreaking and cathartic. And then his final words to Lin Ling:
"Whoever you are, just be yourself."
Hit like a quiet but powerful passing of the torch. After carrying himself like an unshakable monument for way too long, that was the moment Firm Man finally put the weight down. Now, the fandom's reaction? Oh boy, it was all over the place. Plenty of fans hailed his arc as one of the emotional highlights of the series, and honestly, I see why. His struggles, never being able to rest, bend, or even live like a normal human, hit people as both tragic and thought-provoking. Some even compared him to Atlas, forever doomed to hold up the world. Others just admired his selflessness. But of course, this is To Be Hero X, so not everyone kept it serious. The man got roasted. Fans joked about how he handled bathroom breaks, laughed at how on the nose the name Firm Man is, and some even called Wolf Girl's plan melodramatic as hell. But despite the mix of tears and memes, most people agree that his retirement was handled beautifully and gave the series a layer of humanity. In the end, Firm Man's legacy isn't about flashy powers or high-stakes battles. It's about the real cost of being a symbol, and the quiet dignity that comes with finally knowing when to step down. For me, his arc doesn't crack the top 10, but there's no denying that he enriches the world of To Be Hero X. He's the tragedy of a man who gave everything to live up to people's trust, only finding peace when he finally let it go. Sliding into the number 10 spot on my list is Lo Li, or as the fandom loves to call her, Loli. Now don't get me wrong, she's got style, she's got presence, and her fight scenes, solid as hell. Add in that conflict with her overprotective dad, and you've got a storyline that plenty of teenagers today could see themselves in. That generational tension, parents thinking they're protecting you while you feel like they're clipping your wings, was a strong angle. But here's the thing. For me, that was about it. Luo Li always felt less like a fully fleshed out hero and more like a statement piece. Her big point was showing that you can carve your own path to heroism without leaning on the world's trust system. And while that's a great theme to tackle, the show didn't push it far enough for me. Outside of nudging her dad and the commission toward the shipwreck subplot, her arc didn't leave much of a lasting impact, which is why, in my personal ranking, she lands right here at number 10. Now, thematically, Luo Li's arc works well on paper. She's the pink-haired inventor who refuses to compromise who she is just to be taken seriously. And the fact that her strength literally falters once her helmet comes off and people see her cute face, that's actually a clever metaphor. Prejudice doesn't just hurt perception, it weakens ability. Her whole design, the bunny-eared mech suit, the rocket bat, the cat face visor, screams unapologetically her. She blends her love of girly, playful aesthetics with raw determination to fight. Fans loved that duality, with plenty of people calling her debut episodes a bold and empowering statement about being true to yourself. But here's where I felt a little shortchanged. The execution didn't stick the landing. She proves herself, wins her fights, swings that rocket bat so hard she even stops Nice in his tracks, which fans rightfully called epic, and then boom. The narrative shifts to Ghostblade and the bigger lore. It's like the writers gave her the green light at the starting line, but then immediately pulled her off the track before she got to run the actual race. And when you look at fan reception, you can see the split crystal clear. People adored her design, her bubbly personality, and the feminist undertones baked into her story. The chemistry she had with Nuoniwo clicked for a lot of viewers, and those who vibed with her style became die-hard fans. But at the same time, a lot of people were frustrated. They wanted closure with her dad. They wanted recognition for her as a hero. Hell, they just wanted more time for her journey to breathe. Instead, Luo Li got overshadowed by the lore-heavy heroes, and her arc ended up fading into the background. So for me, while she's a great concept on paper and has undeniably cool moments, annoyed the lack of follow-through drags her down in my ranking. Luo Li's a good character in theory, a solid fighter in practice, but ultimately undercooked in execution. That's why she's sitting comfortably at number 10 in my personal list. Now sliding into my number 9 spot, we've got Dragon Boy. And let me tell you, whew, this guy had every damn reason to end up a villain. From his snappy, unhinged behavior to those twisted childhood scars, everything about him screamed final boss energy. And honestly, that's what made him so damn fun to watch. He's ruthless, grimy, and absolutely willing to fight dirty to get his way. And the series made sure we felt every second of that. His agency only added fuel to the fire, weaponizing him like some disposable tool while he thought they were giving him purpose. But here's where I land on him. For all the menace and potential, he just didn't get the follow-through I wanted. He had the bones for greatness, but instead his arc burned bright and fizzled fast. That's why Dragon Boy lives down here at 9th place for me. The guy's whole setup is brutal. His tragic backstory, raised under abusive guardians, tortured with drownings in freezing water until he snapped, gave us the blueprint for a classic broken kid turned monster. He idolizes Zero, hates the world, and decides pain is the only language worth speaking. And it all comes to a head when he crosses paths with Hero Smile, one of the fandom's golden boys. Under orders from that sadistic mentor Rock, Dragon Boy not only fights Smile, but murders him in cold blood. And not just that, he mocks his family ties while doing it. That's the kind of move that doesn't just get you hated, it cements you as one of the most despicable names in 2B Hero X history. Fans loathed him for it, but damn if it didn't hit like a truck narratively. The kicker though? His arc is over before you can blink. His abilities were badass. Damage reflection, that demonic transformation, the whole I'll keep fighting until you're dust vibe. But after Smile's death, Dragon Boy gets steamrolled. Hero X wipes him out, literally turns him into paper and tosses him aside like garbage. Poetic? Yeah. Satisfying? Sure, but also way too abrupt for a character who could have dug into themes of trauma, corruption, and redemption. Instead, his role was more shock value than long-term storytelling. The fandom couldn't agree on him either. Some people said his 2-episode arc was perfectly paced, a tight little tragedy that did exactly what it needed to. Others thought he was shallow. All edge, no substance. Me? I'm leaning on the latter side. He had killer design, a brutal edge, and one hell of an entrance, but he never became more than infamous. That's why Dragon Boy lands at number 9 for me. A character who could have been phenomenal, but instead got locked into being remembered as the guy who killed Smile. Coming in at number 8, and yes, this is me admitting it out loud, is Queen. Okay, look, Queen straight up stole my heart. She's my crush, my #1 favorite, and if anime law allowed it, I would absolutely be over here proposing to her between takes. That said, and this is my hot take / opinion only, so don't at me, her arc still only lands at 8 on my list, and I'll tell you why. On paper, Queen is broken in the best possible way. Child prodigy, dreamed of being a hero since forever, and then grew into the #2 ranked hero on Earth. She has powers that should make her untouchable. She can literally enforce rules in her field of vision, stop you mid-move, bend physics if she feels like it. That level of domination should have led to fight scenes so fast and clean they'd make you drop your popcorn. Instead, the series kept clipping her wings. Battles that should have ended in 2 breaths got stretched out, and in her rivalry match, it felt like the writers were actively nerfing her for drama. As someone who fell for her the second she walked on screen, watching that felt like proposing and getting friend-zoned mid-ceremony. Heartbreaking, honestly. Still, and this is important, Queen's official arc in episodes 11 and 12 shows exactly why she matters. On the surface, she's rigid and solitary, a rule-driven genius who insists on winning by her own code. Then Hero X humiliates her, and for the first time, she tastes failure. We see her spiral into a genuine depression, withdrawing from everything she believed in. And this is the bit that actually got me. Lucky Cyan's kindness, plus the goofy lightness of the Johnnies, pry her shell open. She learns she doesn't have to bear the weight of reforming the whole hero system alone. She smiles. She lets people in. She allows herself vulnerability. That change, the proud genius learning to accept connection, lands harder than any one-shot death beam ever could. If I could, I'd kneel and propose right there on the battlefield. Don't worry, I'd sign a prenup because the rules thing makes me nervous. Critically, Queen's arc was a mixed bag. Reviewers loved her abilities, the feminist undertones, and the jaw-dropping visuals of her fights. Many compared her best moments to top-tier clashes from One Punch Man and My Hero Academia. And yet, fans were frustrated. She only got 2 episodes of true focus. Her backstory, motivations, the why behind the woman, all skimmed over. That lack of follow-through left her feeling undercooked, despite how crucial she is to the show's core themes. So for me, even though I would absolutely marry this woman if the anime let me, her story didn't get the runway it's deserved. It's like handing her wings and then grounding the plane for maintenance forever. Rude. But let's be clear, none of this kills my devotion. Queen remains my absolute favorite. Not because she's just powerful or stunning, though she is both, but because her arc, incomplete as it is, captured something brutally honest. Brilliant women forced to fight for recognition. Heroes who carry more than they should. And the brutal lesson that true strength includes letting others in. So yeah, I'll rant about the nerfed fights and the wasted potential until my voice gives out. But I'll also keep defending her in the comments, and maybe, just maybe, start drafting an elaborate anime-style proposal speech. Again, this is my opinion. If you ship me with Queen, that's on you. If you propose to Queen before I do, we're going to have words. Sliding into number 7 on my list is none other than Ghostblade, the character I weirdly found myself relating to the most, even though on paper this man is basically tragedy wrapped in black and white drip. He's a husband who lost his marriage because of the hero life, a father who didn't get to raise his kid, and then, in a way that's kinda sweet but also a little creepy, tries to reconnect with his daughter long after she's grown. It's messy, it's heartbreaking, and that's why he ranks here for me. Because Ghostblade isn't just cool with a sword, he's the single most tragic figure in 2B Hero X. Now, the critics and fans actually agree for once. Ghostblade's 2-episode arc was one of the best things the series has ever done. People were calling it the best since the Isol arc, and honestly, they're not wrong. The story mixes this brooding, silent anti-hero with an unexpectedly funny road trip vibe, like Ghostblade awkwardly sharing a ride with the Johnnies, which still cracks me up, and then flips it into something deeply emotional with his daughter Nuonuo. What makes it sting is that beneath his blank expression and violent rep, he's really just this socially awkward guy who doesn't know how to connect with people. Some fans even speculated he's written with traits like social anxiety or autism, which makes his attempts to bond with Nuonuo come off both unsettling and painfully genuine. And look, his silence is part of what makes him so damn fascinating. He literally can't speak anymore. His blade does the talking. And that makes him mysterious and badass in fights, but it also traps him in isolation. When his wife begged him to do the same and actually communicate, he just couldn't. So yeah, his stalking Nuonuo is creepy as hell, but it's also this twisted expression of love and regret. The guy finally realized he wanted to be a father, just way too late. Visually, Ghostblade is top tier. That pale hair, the mask, the whole deadly assassin fit, pure aesthetic gold. His fight against DJ Shindig, clean, stylish, one of the coolest sequences in the series. Critics were hyped about it and fans ate it up too. But the real weight of his arc isn't the action, it's the theme. Ghostblade embodies what 2B Hero X does at its best, showing that even the cold killers can carry heavy love, regret, and trauma. His decision to finally walk away from being a hero, leaving just a bouquet for Nuonuo instead of staying by her side, is the kind of bittersweet ending that sticks with you. Of course, not everyone was on board. Some fans thought he got way too much sympathy for a guy who abandoned his family and then creepily shadowed his daughter. Pretty privilege, they called it. Basically, that Ghostblade got away with stuff because he looked cool and the narrative framed him as tragic. Fair criticism, honestly. But whether you think he's a misunderstood anti-hero or a problematic dad, there's no denying his arc added depth and tension the show desperately needed. That's why Ghostblade lands at number 7 for me. He's messy, tragic, flawed as hell, but also painfully human. And maybe that's why I see a bit of myself in him, stumbling through mistakes, trying to connect, not always getting it right, but carrying the weight anyway. For better or worse, Ghostblade's arc reminded me that sometimes the quietest people have the loudest stories.